Alright, we finally made it to the Chapter 9 summary, last video of this section. We've first got a table that I copy and pasted from the internet that nicely summarizes everything that we've learned about parabolas. This is also similar to the review sheet that you should have in your notes already that we did in class a couple weeks ago. In any event, the three forms are standard form, vertex form, and factored form, and they can be written according to these equations, which we've studied a lot, but this is just a quick review / overview. Each of the three equations gives you something very easy. So standard form gives you the y-intercept because that's just the c value there at the end. Vertex form, of course, gives you the vertex, hk. Again, the reason it's hk is because we've shifted left and right a distance h, and we've shifted up and down a distance k. And lastly, factored form gives you the two roots. Now in class, when I wrote the equation, I called them r1 and r2. Here they're called x1 and x2. It doesn't really matter what label we give them. These are the two roots here and here. And just remember that the minus sign is part of the equation. So if you have, for example, x plus 3 in parentheses, the actual root is x equals -3. And if you have x, minus 8 in parentheses, the actual root is x equals 8. So opposite sign of what you see. And it's important to have the a value factored out to the front, not distributed into either of these parentheses. Okay, and I've put together kind of a list here of general things that we've covered that are important to remember. These are important little tidbits that you can use to be more successful. First one, leading coefficient, the a value in any of the three forms. It tells you both the stretch factor and if the parabola is inverted or flipped upside down. To get the vertex, you need to know the two tricks. The first trick is -b over 2a. That's useful if you started in standard form. The second trick is halfway between the roots, so find the average of the two roots, add them up, divide by 2. That's useful if you start with the problem in factored form, because if you have it in factored form, you can get the two roots and then plug the roots in right here. Once you know the x-coordinate of the vertex, regardless of which method you use to get it, all you have to do to get the y-coordinate is plug the x value into the equation and solve. Okay, that's true no matter how you're doing it. This is true even if we go all the way back to systems of equations. Once you get one coordinate, you can just plug it in to get the other. Anytime you want to get a y-intercept, standard basic way to do that is to plug in x equals 0 and simplify. Anytime you want to get the x-intercept or roots, standard method is to plug in y equals 0 and solve. Now there's a couple of different techniques you might need to use depending on what form you have. So after you set y equal to 0, if you started in standard form, you want to factor it, and if that doesn't work, you can use the quadratic formula. If you started in vertex form, then you want to work backwards to solve for x by isolating x and taking the square root. So for example, you set 0 here, you have a parentheses x minus h squared plus k. You want to work backwards to solve for x. So the first thing you'll do is subtract k to both sides, then you'll divide by a, then you'll take the square root to get rid of the squared, and lastly, after you branch, you'll add h to both sides. Once you get those two roots, you've got the zeros, and then you can write the answer in factored form if you need it to. Alright, that's it for the review. Remember, there's a couple other review videos as bonus videos that you can watch for extra practice and review. And that sums up Chapter 9. We'll see you in class.